So as I was saying, that them manifesting that particular person, my clients manifesting those particular people, it bothers me because they manifest that person and it works. That person comes into their lives and the relationship is not good at all. It does not come from a place of devotion. It comes from a place of simple desire and infatuation. It comes from attraction. It does not come from devotion and unconditional love, maybe, and it does keep that person in a deep, deep illusion that everything is going to be okay and everything is, and I can see that no, it's not going to be okay. You're going to get your heart broken. And I convey it to you, but you are not willing to accept that. And as you said, it is also a part of their story of them, how they grew up, how they surrendered to that situation, and how they accepted the situation, how they came out of their own denials. And I think a lot of manifestation is just that, you being in a lot of delusion.
When it comes to manifestation, I truly believe that we have zero control over the free will of other people. So in the short term, while somebody might come back, maybe they're coming back because they miss you, they were avoidant and whatever. But if somebody hasn't treated you well in the past, it's very unlikely that people will change and start treating you better in the future. It's very, very unlikely. Even in the short term, if they do, it's very hard to change one's behavior after a certain age. And that is why I would not, keep my hand on it. Having said that, it can be done if they really have the will, if they, take therapy or they go to a life coach or they truly will to do it, if they truly invest in self growth, it can be done. Now, my second point was about this was about manifestation. The second point was about, sorry, what was the point you made earlier? There were three things I wanted to speak about. It slipped from my mind.
The point about them being in an illusion and them manifesting the other person, but when they get into the relationship is not good, or as they had anticipated, it was not like that at all. And one more thing before you say your points, I would like to add that a lot of the times I have seen that if something is not manifesting in your life, if any of your wish is not coming true, that means either one, something better is coming, or two, you are being protected from that particular thing. So you have to be really open and accepting, maybe aware about what you want may not be what you need. May
Absolutely.
not be what, yeah, may not be what benefits you or is for your good. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I completely agree with you. This is actually a very profound point that you've made. And I completely agree with you. So my advice to my clients in these situations is when things aren't working out, when things are complicated, you ask yourself, what is the universe trying to teach me? What am I supposed to learn from this experience that I keep ignoring? And that is why this situation keeps happening in my life again and again. Is it self-love? Is it respect for myself? Is it something else? Is it finding my worth outside of a relationship? What is the universe trying to teach me? And once you start to understand that, and once you start to get the answer for that, and once you start to learn that lesson, you will transform yourself. And then whichever situation you walk into, you are a transformed person. So life has transformed for you. And that is why a different life will welcome you. So that is one thing. The other point I wanted to make was, this is very interesting because we earlier spoke about Vipassana, and I'll tell you what Vipassana really, really taught me. What is the difference between love and attachment? If I love someone and they don't want to be in a relationship with me, that is fine. But if it's coming from a place of love, I'll be like, I hope they're happy. I hope they're happy, whoever they're with, whatever they're doing. And love can come for anybody, not just in a romantic relationship, but whoever it is, even if a friend that I lost touch with, or somebody who hurt me, or an enemy, for the lack of a better word, or someone I don't get along with, I can still say, hey, I hope good things happen to them. That is coming from a place of love. Attachment is, oh no, that person has to do what I say, or that person has to change themselves to make me happy. So the first rule of Buddhism, which is what Vipassana is based on, the first rule of Buddhism and of life, in my opinion, is the attachment is the root of all suffering. So whatever you attach yourself to, be it a person, be it a situation, be it an outcome, be it a circumstance, be it an object, be it anything at all, sooner or later it's going to make you suffer. And Jay Shetty made a very good point. He says owning something is not about what you own; it's about what owns you. How much of a slave you become to that person or to that situation, how bound you are. And that is nothing but slavery. Like a lot of people I know are addicted to their screens. So they are bound by the screens. They are attached too much to their screens or whatever is happening in the virtual life or somewhere far away. And I think attachment is something that we need to grow our awareness towards and also learn how not to act from a place of attachment. And, a lot of spiritual conversations are about dissolving your ego and acting from your higher self. When you're not when you're not acting from a place of attachment, when you're acting from a place of awareness and a bigger philosophy of love, then I would say that is coming from a place of your higher self. Because to me, attachment is what sort of brings you down into the mortal world, and our human nature is to attach ourselves. But then part of the human life is also suffering. So either we make ourselves okay with suffering, or if we want to step out of suffering, then we ultimately say, okay, I'm going to work on my attachment issues and get out of attachment. But getting out of attachment issues is also not avoiding relationships altogether. I know a lot of people who are just like, I've given up on dating, I'm never going to date again. That's not either, because that is emotional avoidance. So you can't do that either.
And also, without any partner, you won't experience growth. That's what I've seen in a lot of people. If you don't have a partner, if you are single, yes, it is good for you. Yes, if you are young, then it is completely fine. But after a certain age, you do need a companion. You do need someone with whom you can just be, just be. And finding that right person is very, very important in this life. And I think that is one of the purposes of humans, to find that person with whom you can just be. Now, it doesn't have to be just one person, it can be multiple people around you. That's why we have friends, we have family, right? And yeah.
Very, very profound again. I am not sure I completely agree with this point, actually, but it's good to have differences again. I feel when we are in a relationship, it's very hard to grow. It's only when we are alone that we truly grow at a personal level. When we are in a relationship, we can grow at a family level, at a society level, at a acceptance level, at a worldly level. But most of the growth that happens at a personal level often comes when we are alone or when we're going through adversity. That is my take on it. Another point that I'd like to say is the fact that we there's this huge spiritual philosophy about the single consciousness, that we are all connected, as within, so without. What does that really mean? And I've been struggling with this a lot. And in my last Vipassana, I've done 6 Vipassana retreats till now. And in my last Vipassana meditation, I had an outcome for it. I sort of had an epiphany about this. And this is just my opinion, so only take what resonates with you. But I felt what really it means to say the whole world is part of me and aham brahmasmi, I am part of the world, and the world, the cosmos is part of me. What it really means is when you replace judgment with empathy, which means if I enter a room and there's one person that I don't like, there's a part of me that's judging them. And if I replace that with empathy, okay, उस इंसान में कुछ हो सकता है, कोई problem हो या कुछ अजीब सा हो या कुछ हो, which I'm not sure about, but my intuition is telling me something isn't fitting well. But that is okay. I still wish them well. And if you come across as like, oh, वो इंसान तो बहुत ज्यादा चेप है, वो इंसान तो वो है, if you hear something about someone, you don't join them in saying, oh हाँ सच में उस इंसान के साथ ही problem है, उसके इंसान हाँ उसके साथ problem होगी, maybe they're going through a hard time, maybe what is going wrong with them, if you really want to know. But when we start to replace our judgment with empathy, that is also in many ways parallel to replacing unconditional love with attachment. And I think that also brings us to our higher selves when we start to relate to people as opposed to judging them. Because what we judge others for is secretly what we are judging ourselves for, right? That's shadow work 101. So if somebody I don't know, not having a good dressing sense irks me. Maybe I am too hard on myself to always have a good dressing sense, and I'm unable to accept myself not having a good dressing sense. You know what I mean? So everything that I feel for others is a reflection of who I am. So this is a massive opportunity for me to realize where my relationship with me is lacking and add that self-love.
Yes, because I feel that, as you said, very good point, that in relationships, you are able to grow to a societal level. You're able to grow in your own family. And I think that the concept of, what is it called? Purushottam kind of, that kind of wisdom, I feel, that kind of profoundness, if you are wise and if you are also in your home, you are not running away from it. You are in there, you are wise, and you are still able to have that kind of unconditional love for your own family. That I feel is a great level of wisdom. And it is like you are wise, you are understanding, accepting of everything about the cosmos, you know a lot about the cosmos, but you are still here and you are doing your duties. You are still here and you are doing, fulfilling your responsibilities, because it is a part of you that you cannot run away from. A lot of the times we don't have the opportunity to run away to a jungle and just sit there to meditate. But that is something, being in a family is also being in a family gives you so many opportunities to grow on a much personal level and a deeper level, is something that I have learned. And it could be different for all the people, to be honest. It could be very subjective, but that is something that I feel that I have learned, and I have come to this point where I know that my growth is through family and relationships, my personal growth. And it could obviously be very subjective to you and what helps you grow. And being alone helps you grow. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And congratulations for finding so much growth with your family. I just want to also be empathic towards a lot of people who come from abusive families. So, we cannot generalize this point. And a lot of people have different kinds of growth in different ways. So, of course, it comes from family, but it doesn't only come from family. There are a lot of other areas you can grow as well.
Now that you've made that point, I should mention that I do not come from a good family. I come from a very broken family. And but I guess it was just in my destiny to uh, find my growth there. So as I said before, it is very subjective to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was another point that you made about judgment for you gave the example of you judging someone else for their clothing, and I feel, and I think you also made this point, that if it is not in you, it won't bother you. Yeah. Which reminds me, have you read Damien by Herman Hesse? I think that's how it's pronounced.
No, I haven't.
So it's a very good book. I do not know if that's kind of your style or not, but it is a translated version of a German book. It's called Damien. And I have read that book 5, maybe 6 times. It's not a thick book at all. It's very small. But I think it's a classical. It's good. That's what I'm trying to say.
What is it about?
It's about spiritual awakening. Have you read Siddhartha?
Yeah, of course. Siddhartha I've read, yeah.
Siddhartha, that's the same author.
Yeah, Herman Hesse. I know Herman Hesse, yeah.
And it's about spiritual awakening. It's about a little boy who and his experiences while he grew up. The very first traumatic experience that he experiences that in that book is that he stole for someone else, I think. And he was 7 or 8 years old. And then as he grew up, he developed his personality based on it is open to interpretation, but I think that that the character Damien was a fragment of the main character's imagination.
Okay.
And it was like Sinclair, the main character, he was using that the fragment of Damien as a safe haven for himself. And it's a very good book. I think you would enjoy it. There are so many things that I found profound in that book, and he is one of my favorite authors. So if you
Thank
can,
you. I'll check it out. Yeah, absolutely.
you can definitely read it. So it won't take much time to read it. And I don't know whether you will like it or not. So it's
I'll
just
keep you updated.
yeah, keep me updated. When you read that book, just know that those are the kind of books that I like. So if you have any suggestions on other books that I would enjoy, please do tell me.
Okay.
Anything else? Should we?
Yes, I wanted to touch upon one thing that I missed saying earlier, but I think you touched on it in a very beautiful way already. So one of the things that Vipassana teaches you is equanimity. And like you, equanimity, जिसको हिंदी में समता कहते हैं.
Okay.
So basically, as you put it so beautifully, that happiness is always followed by sadness. Sadness is always followed by happiness, right? But we can train our minds. Equanimity is the most comfortable space of your mind. It's the most natural behavior for your mind. And once you start to practice it, you can learn to be equanimous, whether it's a good time or a bad time. Whether you're experiencing happiness in life or sadness in life. And once you come to that point where you can experience bliss, which is the absence of happiness and sadness, you can experience bliss when there are happy times, and then you can experience bliss when there are sad. And that happens when you get out of attachment. So once you start to practice equanimity, a lot of times open up, a lot of things will open up for you, because external events are no longer having an effect inside you, in your emotions, in your own moods, or in any other way you look at yourself or you look at the world. And once you're free of that, I think you really, really sort of become very aware of what's happening inside you and what's happening outside you, because that is awareness, right? What's happening outside of me, what effect it has inside me, that is the definition of self-awareness. So I think that is a very good point. Instead of chasing happiness, we should practice bliss and equanimity. And once we do that, then we are comfortable all the time. And then nothing can faze us.
Because, the happiness that we are looking for, it is in the future. It's not in the present. So what is there in the present? And it is very important to find that point in your life where you can sit down each day and think about, okay, this made me happy today. I am grateful for this today. And that is important to, because you remember that saying, "Boon boon se sagar banta hai." You do that every day. You practice gratefulness every day. Ultimately, it will bring you to that point of that point of wholesomeness within and without.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Another thing that you said that was very interesting right now is about the past and the future. And my interpretation of that is the past does not exist. It exists only in our memory, right? Because you cannot actually go back to the past. So the only past is what's in my head, it's in my mind. The future cannot exist because it hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
The only truth is the present. So whenever my mind is either regretting the past or busy planning the future or worrying about the future, I'm not in the present. And that is when I'm living in an illusion. I'm not living in reality. And I was challenged recently by a friend of mine, and they said, it's a they, it's not a he or a she, it's a they. And they said that when they were 5 years old, something really bad happened to them when it comes to their parents or caregivers. And they have been carrying that trauma all the time, and they have a huge amount of anger towards their parents because of that. And I asked them that, and I suggested this to them, that the past does not exist, it exists only in your memory. And they challenged me with, yes, but what happened to me was true. And my response to that was, yes, it was true then, It is no longer true now, because the only the only residue of that is in your memory. So if you heal your memory, if you release those blocked emotions, you will heal from it, and then your past will no longer determine your present or your future. Right now you're hostage to your past, but that is a choice that you can unmake and you can move on. So that is something important to remember. We can only be hostages to our past if we choose to. We are only hostages to our future if we choose to. But if we live in the present, if we live with mindfulness and awareness, then we are always free. Then nothing can fail us.
It is important to understand where you need to build resilience. If something has happened in your past, you should never ever avoid it. You should work on it and build resistance. Oh, resilience.
Resilience. Yeah.
Do not build resistance to trauma, please.
Absolutely. ये भी तुमने बहुत अच्छी बात बोली, because a lot of people, growing up, we used to meet. I was always a very sensitive person, so I used to meet a lot of people who were like, "Oh no, I've been hurt in dating. Now I will not date again, even though I'm very attracted to this person. Even if I feel a very strong connection to this person, I will not date again because I don't want to be hurt again." And they think they're being emotionally strong. That is not emotional strength. That is actually emotional cowardice, in my opinion, because emotional strength is having the courage to be vulnerable again, having the courage to give relationships another shot again, knowing fully well that if things go south, you have grown enough to be able to handle it better. But if you just keep avoiding situations for the fear of getting hurt, that is not emotional strength. That is actually emotional cowardice.
You have to be able to confront the other person and yourself.
Yes, absolutely. But be with kindness. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others.
Do not be harsh at all, because harshness will do no good, and it will
Yeah.
only drown you, it will only drag you down. Harshness.
Yeah, we are hard on others when we are hard on ourselves. We treat others like we treat ourselves. So if I'm very angry with me, if I don't like parts of me, if I don't like certain things about me, my behavior patterns, I will also act the same outside. If I'm not happy with my own skin, I'll also treat people like that. And that is something that is a massive opportunity for growth again, because once I start to improve my relationship with myself, about this topic of self-love, there is so much talk about self-love and love yourself and whatever. And what a lot of people miss, in my opinion, self-love to me is actually about learning to love the things about yourself that you dislike without changing. For the longest time, I used to think I'm not tall enough, I'm not, I'm fat, I'm this and that. And once I realized that this is who I am, and it is okay, God made me perfect the way I am, and this is my right to exist. I will not judge myself for these anything. Once I started to accept myself, once I stood in front of the mirror and say, this is exactly my body type, this is exactly who I am, this is fine. And I used to look at myself lovingly and look at myself admiringly and say, this is fine. I'm not shy away from photographs. It completely changed my life, because then it completely changed how I was treating other people, because I would judge other people on their body as well, because I was judging myself on my body. So it completely changed my relationship with my body and my self-love increased. Another thing, we were talking about relationships a bit earlier, and about anxious attachment styles. We all face this situation sooner or later, when we are sitting in our house and we are really missing someone, and we are really feeling a lot of love for them, and feeling that that love is not reciprocated in that moment. To me, that is another giant opportunity for self-love, because what you can do is, all the love that you're feeling for the other person, you can give yourself that love. You can literally fill your entire body with affection for yourself, close your eyes, and really immerse yourself in that affection for yourself. All the love that you're feeling for someone else, give it to you. If you're visualizing the other person, that you're spending a day with them, you're going out to dinner with them, if you're going for a drive with them, whatever that you're doing, then look at yourself in that light. Put yourself in those images in your mind, and enjoy yourself. Have a great relationship with yourself, and that is a great way to build a great personality and a great relationship with yourself. And then you're never insecure. You're actually healing many parts of
And remember, I talked about that attachment comes from a place of insecurity. And I do also feel that attachment also in relationships, especially attachment also comes from the point that you made, that not feeling that self-love for yourself, not being fulfilled or from within. And we feel that the other person is going to fulfill that void,
The
they love,
rescue.
rescue. The other person will come and rescue, and the other person is going to fill that void, fill that hole of self-love.
Yeah. I remember I told you about this friend of mine, friend of mine who's married, who has two kids, and she's not happy in her marriage, and she has this fantasy that somebody will come and make her fall in love with him and take her away and her two kids away and start a new family, and she will be rescued from this marriage scenario. And I asked her, if you are so unhappy in your marriage, why don't you divorce your husband first so that you make space in your life for something new to come in? And she just doesn't want to do it because she doesn't want to take that risk. But unless, if you don't take these kind of risks where you either choose to get out of the situation that you dislike or learn to accept the situation as it is, those are the only two solutions. But if you stay in this unhappy zone, oh, I don't like where I am, but I also don't want to do anything about it, then it's your choice. But then you can't blame other people for your choices.
You can't be the victim in that situation.
Exactly.
And on the topic of self-love, a very recent revelation I had was that along with everything that you said about self-love, I realized that self-love is also about being very, very disciplined with yourself. Whether it's you working on your health, your mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, it is, if you are not disciplined with yourself in those aspects, you are doing yourself a disservice. That is what I learned very recently. Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree with you. This is something that I'm learning now because I'm rebuilding my life as a screenwriter, as a life coach, as many other things. And I realized that to do all the things that I'm passionate about, discipline is very important. So it's fine from that point. But I'm also very careful while giving this advice because a lot of people are workaholics and they derive their self-worth from how much they have achieved today. And if you're hostage to your work, then this can also be destructive. So it's a double-edged sword. So we have to be careful and aware about it. As long as it's fun, as long as it's coming from a place of play, coming from a place of passion, and you're enjoying the process, it's fine. But when it becomes like, oh yaar, kal subah uth ke karna hai, mera bilkul man nahi hai, then give yourself a break. You be kind to yourself. Have rest built in to your schedule.
I agree, because for the longest time, I believed that my single purpose in life is to have fun.
That is an amazing life to live.
That is true, to be honest. That is true. Because everything that I do, if I'm not having fun in that, I will leave that. I'm not going to do it. But of course, I do not. It doesn't mean that I run away from situations. It just means that even if I'm having a bad day, at the end of the day, I will just tell myself, oh, you can't have a good day without a bad day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do such heavy work because all the tarot readings, they must take so much time and energy from you, right? So you really need that downtime to recharge. So it's very important to build downtime and recharge time into your schedule. Yeah.
For me, the easiest way to recharge is to just go to sleep. I sleep like a baby. And if I don't get that baby sleep, I am grumpy.
Poor boyfriend.